It seems that the swing of summer is kicking in around the sanctuary. Most of the unusual migrants have made it to their destination, and everybody seems to be in breeding mode now.
Their whole
There were, however, a couple of blackpoll warblers passing through, but they typically are amongst the last of the migrants. The hummingbirds were late, but they finally made their arrival. After witnessing so many failed attempts at nesting, it's uplifting to see a success. These are European starling chicks, and it's likely there's more inside the box that are not sticking their heads out. The nest is built by the male, and after complete, he will decorate it with fresh, often sweet-smelling plants. It seems that a pair of chestnut-sided warblers have decided to stay at the sanctuary. They typically don't nest here, so we're excited about the potential prospect of nesters. And plenty of yellow warblers have decided to stay.
It's an atypical song.
It appears that this red-eyed vireo has captured an insect. After his meal is finished, he will carol his robin-like phrases. The cheek note of the cardinal can also be heard quite distinctively. As per usual, the beaver pond is teeming with life. A pair of cohees lives here. It seems to be a favorite hangout for the tree swallows, who can gorge themselves on insects, as well as for flycatchers, such as this eastern kingbird. And although nearly impossible to see without movement, there has been a green heron frequenting the ponds. Even with the bright orange legs and contrasting green and brown, they stay very well hidden. This, combined with their stealth and patience, allows them to become very successful fishers. Often, by the time we see animals, they're already gone. But sometimes their tracks remain intact. This week, the green frogs have awakened from their winter hibernation. And although this frog seems leery, it did not flee with the other frogs that were around it. Fish are schooling in the shallows of the beaver pond. I am having quite a bit of trouble identifying any of them. Even with an up-close look, the field marks just don't seem to be matching up to any of the species I've looked up. I believe these are the same minnows in the past that I was identifying as fatheads. Now, I am more inclined to believe that they are blunt-nosed minnows. I think this because of the darkness of the stripe all the way to the nose and the yellowish fins that some of them have. However, dark outlines of the scales are not present, as they should be. Not to mention, the nose almost seems a little bit sharp in some of them. I'm wondering if these larger fish are just more mature of the same species. It seems like the outline of the scales is more prominent, but then they are losing the lateral line. But the proportions of the big and small fish do look remarkably similar. And they all seem to be feeding off that same source of detritus. Some of the most beautiful insects that hang around our ponds and streams are the dragonflies. This particular specimen is the dragon hunter, dubbed for its tendency to hunt other dragonflies. Dragonflies have mastered the art of aviation. Their four wings move independently of each other. So, like a military drone, they can move in any direction or hover in midair. One day, I stumbled upon this two-spotted bumblebee. They are usually the earliest to emerge in our region. I'm not sure what it's doing. It looks like it's digging and pulling up roots. I'm not sure why it would do that, since they feed on nectar and pollen. The two-spotted bumblebees do form colonies underground, but they do not dig their own. They usually take over old rodent burrows. I guess it's another great mystery yet to be solved. And more mysteries are these few caterpillars and this moth. We've also seen hobo-mock skippers this week, as well as eastern tiger swallowtails, white-striped black moths, and pale beauties. Interestingly, butterflies are very fond of coyote scat. They are attracted to it for the same reason that they are attracted to mud puddles, for moisture and minerals. These are pearl crescent butterflies, but the behavior is common to many others. Ground beetles are fairly common around the sanctuary. I believe this one is a Clanius cerasus, but it was hard to get much detail. The remains are also sometimes found. And here's a milkweed leaf beetle. As we progress into the summer, the diversity of flies is increasing. This could easily be mistaken for a giant mosquito, but it is in fact a crane fly. Also about in the sanctuary now are scorpion flies, Drosophila or pomace flies, and flowering flies. These Aphelora millipedes seem to be fairly common. And so do the spiders. We have at least a couple of species of wolf spiders, but probably more. And this one I noticed was eating its web. This is not an uncommon behavior. It helps to recycle the proteins that go into making a new web. And this spider appears to be wrapping up a meal for later. This water spider sure seems to be in a hurry. The gardens are flourishing this week. Some of the more notable blooms are the columbines, the mayapple, the yellow lady slipper, and the Herb Roberts geraniums. Some non-cultivated flowers in bloom are Philadelphia fleabane, these sunflowers, and Dame's Rocket. Honeysuckle is also flowering right now, as well as the hawthorn and the cherry trees. This time of year does mean lots of pollen in the air, as seen from this Scotch pine. And always a treat is looking at the gardens over at the animal sanctuary side. And that about sums up the last week of May.